You've got a guest with a great book. Someone's going to win a copy at the end of the interview. He's a naturalist, an adventurer, and he's an author. His name is Charles Hood. His book, hardcover and absolutely beautiful pictures, is called Nature at Night. Discover the hidden world that comes alive at night. Welcome to the show, Mr. Hood.
I'm so happy to be with you. Good morning to everybody.
Oh, your book is so beautiful and so educational.
Well, I think I learned a lot writing it anyway, so I hope people get a little bit out of reading it.
Oh, they will. Just even the nebulas and just the dwarf galaxies, all of the pictures. I mean, everybody loves a good book, but when a good book teaches you something and you get to see what you're reading about, that's everything.
I think we're in a golden age of illustration, because cameras have gotten so good and printing has gotten relatively affordable, so the average person can own books that previously only royalty could have in their lives, to be honest.
I didn't know bats lived in palm trees. That freaked me out. So now I worry about all the people on Survivor. I'm like,
Well, we're trained to be kind of distrustful of the night, aren't we?
Yeah.
That we somehow where the bad people are, and the witches, and the people with loose morals. They're always somehow the bad morality people are out at night as well. So bats get swept up in that general animosity. But the reality is, bats are doing us a favor. They're busy eating up the insects that might eat our crops, or they are helping in the rainforest to revegetate barren areas. So I'm a big fan of bats.
They've got cute little faces, but they're so creepy. I mean, they're so gargoyle-ish. And why did they always go after your hair? Why did they dive bomb your hair?
Because most of us are pretty warm-blooded mammals, and so the mosquitoes are coming for this great big feast called our face.
Yeah.
And then the bats are like, I can help you with that. I'll get those mosquitoes away.
So they're not coming at me. They want the bugs.
They want the bugs. Yeah, that is true.
Okay. So what made you decide to go with what animals do at night? Because none of us really know. We're not paying attention at night.
Isn't that true? I think it's the lack of attention that is one of the things I'm hoping to remedy. But if you like nature, and it is often quite sustaining to spend an afternoon on a walk in regular daytime. But if you like nature, nature's out there at night as well. It's not like nature has an on-off switch, It really is that whole 24/7 kind of thing. And it turns out the more we study nature at night, the more we learn how interesting and interconnected it all is.
I just find it's scary at night, if I'm going to be honest with you. That's why, you carry a gun, a knife, and a flashlight, and a taser, and everything else when you walk at night, because it's not necessarily the animals I'm not worried about, it's the people. But
no, I get that, and obviously there's a gender difference. I'm a little bit less trained to be afraid of sexual assault as a man, and I certainly want our listeners to be safe at all times. But the idea that somehow the bad people are lurking in the bushes, that's just not their habitat. And if we just look at it mathematically, like the thing you should be worried about is driving to the trailhead.
Yeah.
With the other drivers are the problem. Once you go hiking at night, you're all by yourself out there with nature. Nature's not going to hurt you.
Unless there's a Black Panther or something that's hungry. I'm just saying.
Well, in the book I quote one of my friends. He's been out 1,000 times, literally 1,000 times. He's a snake expert and an animal expert. And I asked him, so Paul, how many times have you died in those 1,000 nights? Like, well, as a matter of fact, 0. He's had a couple of close times when he almost stepped on a snake, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So we're in the Missouri. We're in pretty good shape on the Black Panthers on this continent anyway.
Yeah,
they're going to have a hard time coming up from the Amazon basin.
I find that they're the most beautiful creatures in the world. That's why I brought them up. But as I was reading your book and learning so much about nature, I'm still scared of nature because, your guy might know what to stay away from. I do not. So as an amateur walking around at night, I'd be the first one to die. I'd be that chick in the scary movie who goes to see what it is instead of getting the heck out of Dodge. So
here's a trick for that. Just go on a trail that you know from the daytime, like around a park. Just a half-mile nature loop in a park. Walk it during the day, get your real sense of where the turns are, where the sticks are, and then at night you'll get to smell different things, hear different things, perhaps even see different things. But it'll be a relatively known environment. And honestly, if people are secure with having a firearm on their person or, mace or, a knife, by all means, feel happy, feel safe, feel protected. These are the things you normally would want to have around you. I'm certainly not going to say that you shouldn't have a gun when you go hiking. If that's making you happy, go bring it.
Yeah, I do. But I got to tell you, and I almost want to cut the page out of the book and have it blown up or have you send me a copy or something, but the picture that you have of the jaguar is so amazingly beautiful. Where did you get that?
That is one of the few pictures in the book that is a captive animal. I want to let the audience know that most of the things are wild. Like there's the puma of Madagascar called a fusa, and that was definitely wild. And the oncilla was wild, and the ocelots are wild. That jaguar was actually a captive animal. That's how we got. For those of you who haven't seen the book, I'm holding the book right up to the microphone, but you still can't see it, can you?
Yeah, no.
So the picture we're talking about is a head-on shot of a jaguar walking directly into the camera, and that is a place I would prefer not to be in reality. I'm pretty comfortable with most of the species in the book, but yeah, being head-on with a jaguar, that they have a bite force that is so strong they could crush through a giant turtle. I mean, a really big turtle. They could eat a sea turtle with the bite force of their jaws. Per square inch, more force than a tiger has even. So yeah, getting face up with the jaguar is one of the few times we had to rely on captivity to help us out.
Yeah, because getting that you'd have to use a drone because you don't want to be, and then it would probably eat the drone, so it wouldn't do you any good.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, the picture's so stunning. I'm still staring at it. It's crazy.
Well, stay on the line after our conversation. I'll send you one.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Just send it the same place you sent the book. The hunters of the world who have their trail cams out, they get some of the most amazing pictures. And I know that some of them are just black and white, but a lot of them are in color, so they do get some pretty cool pictures. But your jaguar picture is just the best thing ever. Now, I know that you're a naturist and that sort of naturalist, but I don't do snakes. I don't do any of them. I don't do them. Serpentias are not in my wheelhouse, but do they sleep at night, or are they out scurrying around looking for stuff?
Would you say slithering around? Since you're gonna be at no snakes more. Snakes are one of those things. They can be diurnal, crepuscular, or nocturnal. So daytime, sunset, or nighttime, depending on the ambient temperature. Remember that snakes can't be out when it's really, really cold. That's just physically impossible for them. But also depends on what prey base they most are dialed in to hunt for. So some of the rattlesnakes in the American deserts, for example, they're looking for nighttime, kangaroo rats and desert cottontails and jackrabbits and things. But other snakes are looking for other snakes. Snakes can predate snakes, and they might be out on a nice warm afternoon. I get where you're coming from on the snakes. My mother was very, very, very distrustful of snakes. And when she found out there were snakes in the ocean, these sea snakes, she just thought that was so unfair. What, even the beach isn't safe from a snake?
Yeah, I don't.
So
I
do get that.
Anything in the water. I avoid the water. I believe that is someone's home, and that I should respect that. So I stay out of the water. It's theirs. Belongs to them. They can have it, frankly. But what I do find interesting is how shocked people are that there are so many bugs at night. And I'm like, well, they come to the light. They come to your warmth. That's what the bugs do. I mean, I don't know why people are so shocked by that. And you cover a lot of moths and a lot of different things in your book because they are a big part of the night, just like owls, just like, all the other things you wrote about. But you had some creatures in here I've never even heard of before. So when you were doing your research, what's the weirdest thing you found that you didn't know about?
I was really astounded to learn that in the ocean, that's where the biggest migration on the planet happens. You always think of the wildebeest and the zebras in the Serengeti or the caribou up in Alaska or something. But that's nothing. That ain't nothing, y'all. Those are peanut kind of migrations. The real migration, we're talking trillions and trillions of organisms, is every night of the year in the ocean, things coming up from these safe, dark depths to feed up at the surface. Zooplankton are coming up to feed on the phytoplankton, which are the sort of the plant kind of things that need sunlight to grow. And then if the kind of little stuff is going to the top, then the medium stuff is coming up, and then the bigger stuff is coming up. So there's this huge vertical migration. And dolphins, for example, are eating squid at night because, of course, they can echolocate. They can use their sonar. They don't need sunlight to catch their prey. So if you've ever gone on a whale watching trip, or you've been out in Hawaii and you've seen these happy, frolicking dolphins, they actually were probably feeding all night long, and they are frolicking because they have time to socialize. They are so full of energy from their feeding. So I had no idea about the vertical migration of the ocean.
That's crazy. And there are things in the ocean I did not know were on this planet, just from reading your book. I mean, there are some weird things in the ocean. And a lot of them glow in the dark, which would be a really big disadvantage if you're somebody's food.
Well, it's a way to attract animals to you. If you're down in the abysmal depths, as they're called, the abyssal depths, you want things to be attracted to you so you can gobble them up. Yeah. And so having a little dangling light is a way of doing that. Or you want to find, they do have to procreate, so you want to find your mate or something. Yeah. So light can be a positive and a negative.
Yeah. Well, we learned that in Finding Nemo with the little flashlight thing. That was fun. Yeah. So the fairy fire is something I found very interesting too. The foxfire. Never heard of it before. It's a bioluminescent fungi.
Yeah. Right.
What's that?
So we can have a marsh, if you're walking through a marsh, like in Norfolk in England, and the methane gas accumulates in the low areas, and then it can spontaneously combust and make these little flickering flames. If anyone's seen the Lord of the Rings movie, when they're crossing the dead marshes, there's kind of that sense of foreboding, but also fire mingled into it. And that's just a natural, as things decompose, they create gases, and those are able to burn. Yes, there are glow-in-the-dark mushrooms. There's glow-in-the-dark lichens. And we're learning now that there are glow-in-the-dark squirrels, the flying squirrels. You have them, your listeners have them in your neighborhood. The reason we know that flying squirrels fluoresce under UV light is lichen specialists are out looking for lichens that glow in the dark. So if you have a flashlight that is in the UV spectrum, you have to buy it special, not a regular flashlight, but a special one. Just $10 from Amazon is fine. You can see scorpions, because scorpions glow in the dark, but also some lichen, not all lichen, but some lichen glows in the dark. People were out studying the lichen, and then a flying squirrel would zoom by, and it was glowing in the dark. So now we know that platypuses glow in the dark. And this is a PhD dissertation waiting to happen. If any of your listeners are trying to decide what to do in graduate school, you should become the expert in glow-in-the-dark mammals, because we got no clue what's going on with those.
That's so cool. I've seen a lot of things that glow in the dark. The algae out on the East Coast, my niece always talks about how sometimes up in Oregon they get the algae on the shore and it kind of glows green. They have like a little festival, that sort of stuff. But my favorite thing that you wrote about is frogs and different types of frogs. I absolutely love them. I think they are the coolest creatures ever. Not afraid of them, want to hold them. Are any of them dangerous?
Yes. Poison arrow frogs from Central and South America. They're little dinky things. Maybe you've seen them in a zoo or in a nature special. We don't have them here in North America, but they are, for example, black with turquoise swirls or black with little red dots. And these are warning signals. And their poison is highly, highly toxic. A little drop would kill a person if you put it on the tip of an arrow. But as long as you don't actually pick the frog up and lick it in the rainforest, you'll be all right. I recommend not licking strange frogs.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're okay. The things that I have learned from your book just did open my eyes to a part of nature, especially in the water, like you said, that I did not even know existed. And I'm just very excited about this book. I hope everyone buys it, because it's so important that we know what's going on this planet besides politics and everybody yelling at each other, and just the stupidity of humankind can be overwhelming. So it's nice to know that there's stuff out there just living its life, doing what it does, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Absolutely. Nature's going to be here no matter what. If people say, the death of nature or whatever, humans may not be here in 500 years, but nature's going to be here no matter what.
Yeah, we'll probably be on some, planet a light year away or on our way to it by then. All right. So where do people get your book, Charles?
It's called Nature at Night, and they can get it from the publisher directly. That's Timber Press, I should say, Timber Press, or any place you have a bookstore.
Yes, it's called Nature at Night and is absolutely fantastic. I appreciate that I honored enough that I got to read it ahead of time. I'm about to give a copy away, but thank you for your time, Charles. The book is a masterpiece.
Thank you, and I'll give you a jaguar picture just because it means so much to you.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.